So Donald Gordon is, of course, a name that is very familiar with everybody here in our environment at the Gordon Institute of Business Science. And today is both a sad day and a fulfilling day, because today we spend some time commemorating the life of this remarkable individual. And I'm joined by our founding dean, Nick Binedell, to talk a little bit about his life, his impact on GIBS, and also, after a long relationship that Nick had with him, some of the personal memories. So Nick, it's fabulous to have you here today, and thank you. Thank you. It's very special. It's the first time that the two deans have got together in studio for the first time.
There we go.
So I'm going to ask you the big question. Of course, the impact of Sir Donald was just remarkable. But when we speak about the words legacy and Sir Donald Gordon, how would you begin to frame that?
So, as we all think about where the country is and these challenging times we have, I think of two streams about him. Because if you've got the right institutions and the right infrastructure for people of his talent to exercise their genius in an economy, that's what makes things cook. And he had two. I think the first, of course, was his extraordinary tenacity, resilience, and drive to build a business, liberty. And, of course, people forget he owned 40% of Standard Bank at one time. So he was a remarkable business person. He built a global, I'm told the largest retail shopping mall owner in Europe is Liberty International. He was an extraordinary business person, shrewd, very capable, dogmatic, energetic. He worked at a rate that was extraordinary. So that's his one legacy, is that he represents an era in which individuals like him managed to build businesses that had impact on shareholders, on society, on individuals to an extraordinary degree. The other side is his generosity and his philanthropy, which came later in life. I think that's what happens to people who make a significant amount of money and establish institutions, is what does one then do, but what does one then contribute to?
And what is significance?
And in later life, he contributed to the establishment of this school, the Donald Gordon Medical School at Wits University, and then in the UK also significantly in the areas of culture. So he was a man who was thoughtful about contributing to society later in life, and he did that with his normal energy and talent.
When did you first meet him?
I met him when I was still at the Wits Business School. I met him once or twice then, and then we established the project that became the Wits School of Government. And he, in the 1990s, when ANC had been unbanned, business was very nervous about what this meant, and Donald Gordon put forward a significant amount of money to support the period of transition, and we were fortunate to get him to fund the School of Government, and that was the start of my relationship with him and the family, Wendy and Hilton Applebaum, who we've also got to know so well.
And we speak about the legacy, but your descriptions and your personal experiences of Donald Gordon, the man, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I think many people knew him much better than me, but I met with him from time to time. And in the early days of putting forward the idea of GIBS, I met with him quite a lot. And he was a remarkable character. He had a great sense of humor, acerbic kind of insights. He was very demanding. And the thing I sometimes talk about is his work rate was phenomenal. So he would spend one evening with his family every weekend. He would go to Plet, he told me, and in the 3 weeks of holiday at Plet, he'd walk up and down the beach and do the deals for the next year.
So there was no holiday.
Well, it was a kind of holiday.
What was a joy for him?
And he was incredibly acute at understanding what was going on around him from a commercial point of view. And he had a habit, he didn't sleep much, like so many very driven people. And he told me, he said, I sleep 4 hours a night. It's enough. But he said, I'd sometimes get tired, especially as the years wore on. And he said, I occasionally sleep in a meeting. And I was once chairing a meeting with him in it. The only time I was in a meeting of that nature, about 10 people, and his eyes were closed, and I was getting embarrassed and comfortable. And so I'd made some comments, and at the end of it, I gently tapped the table in case I was having to wake him up. And I did this, and his eyes popped open. He repeated what I said, and he said, I fully support it, and then made a contribution to it. That was his nature. He had a good sense of fun. He was a shrewd observer and a good sense of humor.
Sounds like this amazing combination of the commercial acumen, the principles, and the energy. And when you've got the triangle of that, you've got it.
Just the drive that entrepreneurs that really build institutions are driven to do so at a rate that are remarkable.
So when we put out a tribute to him on social media, one of the comments we made was that it was thanks to his generosity in founding the school that he leaves this legacy of leaders. And those early efforts of funding, your efforts in starting the school. Tell us a little bit about the role that he played. And this would have been in 98.
I had a sheet of paper and a mandate from the Vice-Chancellor of the university, and that's about all I had.
And this would have been in 98?
1998. And so the deal was the university would provide the bulk of the capital, but that I had to fund a significant portion, or we had to fund a significant portion. And we tried various different ideas. And eventually I said to the university, but what about Donald Gordon, who I knew from my Wits days? And we then went to talk to him. And it was an extraordinary conversation because he's a Wits alumni. This was the University of Pretoria. And I don't think Donald really believed in the sort of things we do that you develop. He was a fighting general. So the idea that you can train a general wasn't something that came to him naturally. But he got behind the project. He got enthused by it. And we named the school for that enormous contribution he made. And I'm not sure this would have happened without that support. And it allowed us to start on a scale that was appropriate. And I think part of our success is we did start in 2000 on scale. So I'm forever grateful for that opportunity to try and make this contribution, which you've now followed in the hot seat. It's 20 years we've been going, and there's no question I don't think this would have happened because the Council of University might not have put all the money at risk, and he came and made that vital difference.
So cemented the deal.
He cemented the deal and he facilitated it, and his supporters agreed that it was a good thing to do. But it was a very unusual deal for someone in Joburg to fund the University of Pretoria's campus.
And he left us as a last comment with these business principles that he gave at his opening speech. Are there any? You've kept those framed on your wall all these years, and they're something that frequently people will say to me, those principles. Is there anything that kind of really stands out that you took to heart in them? I know there were a couple that really resonated with me, and I think have become part of the GIBS ethos.
I've been using them when I teach from time to time because they really are. And I thought he'd make a long speech. And we had a very crowded program in the rubble of the campus. And all he did was he read these 11 principles. I don't think there's one that stands out. All of them are really smart and insightful from a man who's had so much wisdom and experience that he accumulated over a lifetime of extraordinary work.
So it's a privilege to be here today to celebrate the life, the impact of Sir Donald Gordon, and particularly to celebrate his impact on us as a GIBS community, both in terms of being able to start the school from a financial perspective, but giving us also wisdom and wise words, and our condolences, of course, to his family as we celebrate the life of this remarkable man.